All right, I'm going to move on to the next category, which is immigration and refugees. As you know, Brent is just full of foreign, repatriated, people who just migrated to Britain, third, fourth generation, etc. And we have a lot of immigration. The question is, do you commit to just and humane policies on refugees and asylum seekers? And it's been very topical in the news with boats and everything else. And then people are quite passionate about doing the right thing, right?
May I go first?
Yeah, of course you can.
Look, I think as a society at large, both locally and nationally, we have this commitment towards social justice, fairness and equality. We can't close our doors to those fleeing persecution. Okay? We have to remember that our country is one of the key reasons for mass immigration from some of these countries in the first place. We've entered into wars we had no business entering. We followed the US into war with Iraq, with Syria. I mean, the list is endless. And when those people come out our doorsteps because of fractured governments and puppets that are unable to control the masses, we then denigrate them as people coming on boats. A lot of people are putting their lives at risk and coming in. I'm not saying that everybody on a boat is in need of immigration, but there are people, families, who actually see the waters, those treacherous waters, safer than death itself. And that is a travesty of society. Brent is diverse, it's multicultural. I grew up in Brent, I'm an 80s child, I grew up in the 90s where, other than of course the English, there was the Irish, there was the Jamaicans, there was the Indians, the Pakistanis, South Asians, then the Afghans came, the Somalians came, and we became one large melting pot. And that is our strength, unity in diversity. We need to do everything that is necessary to ensure a humane treatment of asylum seekers, which also starts at cultural integration. The biggest problem with immigration, what people don't understand, is that there are people coming in from different cultures, from different backgrounds. We need to ensure cultural integration training. We need to give ample, equal opportunities for them. And at the same time, we need to make sure that we protect our borders from antisocial elements that aren't actually in desperate need for immigration. We need to vet that at borders. We need to collaborate with France to ensure we've spent a ridiculous amount of money. How much was it? 18.5 million perhaps for the French authorities. That's a bleeding waste of money. So there needs to be more accountability at government level. And of course, the bill remind the screen with Conservatives. I can go on and on. I'll stop.
Thank you.
Yeah, John, can you just remind me exactly the specific of the question, because otherwise I can talk for ages around this as well.
Do you commit to just and humane policies on refugees and asylum seekers?
Yeah, okay. So again, short answer, yes. We would prioritise safe legal routes, building on the success or relative success of the Hong Kong schemes, the Afghan schemes, resettlement schemes, and the Ukraine resettlement schemes. We would look to expand that and learn the lessons from those. But the priority is making sure that people are not forced to take these desperate journeys, where they're in the hands of criminal gangs, where they're risking their lives and being given false promise and false hopes. And a huge element of that is working with our European partners. So we are a pro-EU party, and first and foremost, we would take steps to eventually reintegrate into the EU, but initially it would be much closer cooperation with our European partners to make sure that we look at the whole issue here and we provide those safe legal routes so that people can get to this country or a country of safety without risking their lives. When they're here, what we're also proposing is a much more streamlined immigration system, and that includes allowing asylum seekers to work once they've been in the system for more than 3 months. There's no reason why asylum seekers cannot work. It helps them integrate into the community, learn skills, learn English. It's good for their mental well-being, and it reduces hugely the cost of having to house them without.
One of the biggest failures of the current system.
Huge failure.
Come over,
and it's nothing to do
they
with
can't work, they can't integrate, and they become a burden instead of being an asset.
Absolutely, and it's nothing to do with international law. It's nothing to do with anything like that. It was a policy actually brought in by Labour under the Blair government, and we could reverse that, and we would reverse that, and we're committed to doing that.
What do you guys?
Yeah, so our leader is George Galloway. He needs no introduction. He's been against the imperialist war since he joined the Labour Party at 16, and we will continue as a party to follow that mantra. That will cut down the amount of refugees that will need to come here because of wars that we love to get involved in and spend all our money there rather than putting it back into the communities. That's how we instantly cut the numbers of refugees that we take over here. Secondly, and this was offered to us by the French, paid for by the French, was to set up processing centres in France before people even needed to think about getting in a boat. We had to take them up on that offer. We could stop that overnight, process all these refugees over in France, vet them properly, and then let them over when they are acceptable to come. But lastly, we are against mass migration because the only people it hurts is the working class and the poorest in society, because it backlogs social housing, it overcrowds schools, it overcrowds healthcare. So we just need to make sure that everyone that comes over here is contributing to society and obviously drags us up as a community.
Martin?
Yeah, there was a saying in the 1970s, which some of you may remember, when the National Front was organising racist marches, when in some parts of Brent they were putting petrol-soaked rags through people's doors. And the marches, mainly of Afro-Caribbean and Asian people, had one slogan: "We are here because you were there." Those people were here because they were part of colonial possessions of Britain. They were made citizens. They were recruited here to work in the National Health Service, etc., etc. They were saying, we have a connection and we have a right to stay. Now, we are here because you were there can be applied to a lot of the refugees who are coming across the Channel because of the wars that Britain and the US are taking part in, displacing people, some of the ravages of bombing and so on. And all they're doing is trying to make a decent life for their families. Some people go on about single men. They're all single men, they're not families. Those first waves of immigration, as some of you will remember, the men went first.
Yeah, that's right.
The wife stayed at home with the kids. Then the wife came over and the kids were looked after by the grandmother. There's a whole pattern of how immigration takes place. So I think that's a real misnomer to say that single men have got another kind of philosophy behind
So,
them.
Mike, I'm going to stop you there, but I'm going to give you another slot now because the next question is on very much on what you're answering.
All right.
All right, so if you could just bear with me. All right, the next question is on foreign wars and military spend. All right, hence why I've stopped you, right? Okay, so. Right.
Okay. Can I quickly answer one of your points where I disagree?
Yeah, if it's quick, yeah.
It's boring if we agree all the time. I actually believe that we should welcome migrants and asylum seekers and give them the right to work, as the Lib Dems are saying. The issues of undercutting wages and so on has to be addressed by organising those people into trade unions and fighting for their right for a decent wage. That's what the women at Grumwick did. Again, another Brent, bit of history and so on. Went on strike, the Lions of the Grumwick Park, against the it was a photo processing plant with bad pay and extremely poor conditions. That's the way to address those things, I think.
Just to counter that though, just quickly, because what you are relying on there is there being an unlimited amount of jobs for these people to go into.
We have a shortage of workers at the moment.
We do.
And we have an ageing population. We need workers. But sorry, can you recall the question? Second bit of the question.
Yeah.
I get carried away. I'm sorry.
Right. We didn't have a question because you wanted to tackle his question.
Oh, so I missed my question.
Right. Okay.
I'm happy.